we're not saying they're doing something wrong.
Correct.
Like they need to change their whole training program or that strength coach or training coach needs to go. That is not at all what we're saying. And what's really cool about that is we have created a lot of relationships, and some of those relationships have referred other people that we're coming into relationship with that want the knowledge. And I think they can appreciate that we do preface this so much is we're not here to step in and be that role and get people fired and change everything that they're doing. They are now coming to us being like, hey, I hear you talk about this. We're grateful you're not outing us because we do want to fix it.
Right.
All right, welcome back to the Pure Playbook. I'm Dr. Dustin Boston here with the athletic trainer herself, Erin Ruggieri. Just another episode where, like we say every time, we're going to continue to bring resources and information and education to parents and student athletes that are trying to keep up with what in the world do we do in healthcare these days. Maybe go through some highlights, but today we're going to talk a little bit more. We've had a lot of questions about injuries as we're starting to collaborate with more teams, and we have more coaches starting to reach out to us in our community, which is super cool. We're grateful for that. We've also had a lot of parents start to refer, and a lot of players start to refer fellow players, which is very, very awesome. And the number one thing that they want to do first, which is how we start, is the evaluation we've created. And so we just kind of want to go over why we created that, because here's the deal. Injuries are they're inevitable in sports, but with a lot of the athletes we're starting to see a consistency in hips right now. Hips, ankles, there's always variable injuries in those areas, but I mean, to the tune since January, I think we've had 10 hip labrum injuries. And there's multiple different facets that we want to go through today on why that could be happening. The one thing that I want to kind of start off with and just set the tone for is just because they play a sport doesn't mean they're guaranteed an injury. Oh, they play soccer, that's going to happen. Oh, they jump a lot, that's going to happen. And it's like, well, if that's going to happen, why doesn't it happen to 100% of the athletes? So in the world of prevention and education and recovery and longevity, it takes an amount of data and being able to see what you can't see, because the foundation of the structure of the athlete is very dynamic and different from person to person.
Right.
We all have a spine, we all have pelvis, we all have, ideally, but all these athletes that play, we have a structure that we are given, but everybody's can be a little different. Is there scoliosis involved? What are the angles of hips and pelvis? Is there any sort of compression, congenital anomalies? What all is going on there that we can't see? That alone is going to give you more predisposition to certain injuries, depending on what that foundation looks like.
Yeah, I think the other thing I want to lead off with is the amount of hip injuries that maybe come from the same team or the same program. That's something that we have. I don't know if we've ever actually really talked about it on a podcast. I think just other places. But when there's a pattern of a similar injury, a similar body part injury in one team or program, it can be very telling to the training that is going through, or just things that need to change when it comes to training athletes. And so when you see that over and over again, like we're referring the same injury because they're like, oh, my friend they all have the same thing, and they're going through the same thing every day.
Yeah, and here's what I want to kind of preface with that too, and as we continue this conversation, is here is exactly what we are not saying. Okay, so please listen to this. While we are talking about the training, and that is definitely a variable to look at, we're not saying they're doing something wrong.
Correct.
Like they need to change their whole training program, or that strength coach or training coach needs to go. That is not at all what we're saying. And what's really cool about that is we have created a lot of relationships, and some of those relationships have referred other people that we're coming into relationship with that want the knowledge. And I think they can appreciate that we do preface this so much is we're not here to step in and be that role and get people fired and change everything that they're doing. They are now coming to us being like, hey, I hear you talk about this. We're grateful you're not outing us because we do want to fix it.
Right.
And there's sometimes too, you have some of these up and coming programs that grow so fast and end up with so many teams, you know, all these private teams, and we don't have to name them all here in our local area, but there's everywhere. There's a lot of private teams, and some of them that start new or as teams kind of wax and wane. There's always, I believe there's in those cities, and in a lot of cities, there's those core groups that just have a huge population. If they lose a few players, great. They've got 2 times that many coming back, you know, coming into the program. But as some of these grow, it's like they're understaffed, and some of that goes to the wayside. They either don't have the knowledge, don't have the expertise, don't have the available manpower to be able to do it correctly. And it's not that they're wanting to do it wrong, but now we're getting the questions, hey, how do you help with that?
Right.
Can you help with that?
Right.
What is it you can do? Because clearly you're not trying to out us. We are trying to help.
Yeah, and especially like you said in the number game, like if there's only one person who's in charge of all of these things for hundreds and hundreds of players, like it's okay that you don't know what's going on with every single one of them, because there's no way that any human could handle that either. And so what we're really doing is giving them an easier job by giving them the data that they need for their athletes that they want to have, but they just don't have the capacity to do.
Right. So with that being said, it's pretty cool how our practice is transitioning. I'd say we're probably 50% student athletes now, which is a blessing, and their parents trying to keep up. We've got a fair amount of their parents under care now, which is cool. But we are sitting in the corner of what used to be the adjusting area
I know, it's
now.
strange over
Because if some of you have paid attention and seen the background change, well, that's because my precious podcast content room, my glass box over there, we've changed it a little bit. Now it's the adjusting firm. It's all glassed in. We moved the adjusting tables over there because we're going to use this area we're not necessarily becoming a gym by any means yet. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 5-year plan as far as a facility that we will end up building specifically for the Pure Athlete here in the St. Louis area. But we want to be able to do this evaluation we're talking about so we can then teach them, 1, how to lift, 2, what specific things, based on the data, the technology we've hooked to them, the video we have taken, the structural side of things, the neurological side of things, put those all together, and what specifically does Ava need to do? Does Connor need to do? Does Carson need to do? Does Aaron need to do? Like, we have all of these athletes now that are so dynamically different and play different sports, different sizes, different positions, but there's certain things where they're going to go through their team lifts. They're going to go through their 2-a-days. But what we're doing too, even on the personal side, is coaching them up, saying, look, either get there a little earlier or after the lift, take the 25 minutes, 30 minutes it's going to take to do these specific exercises based on what we have seen and given not only you, but your parents, your coaches, your strength coaches that we're talking to more now. They will have that information, but it's up to you to do this. We can't do this for you. But if we all do train the same way and you see the consistent injuries, it's time to kind of have that conversation. But that's what we're going to be able to do here, because at the very foundation of it all, after we get that evaluation done, these kids that are developing so much faster, so much stronger and demanded more and playing 2 or 3 times more of the sport in the calendar that we've really ever played. In the past 5 or 10 years, it's just escalated so much, which is cool. I don't have a problem with playing a lot more. It just means we need to take care of ourselves a lot better. And it's going to take an investment to do that in time, money, and effort, but it's worth it. So if we can give access to all of these things in particulars as we start to continue to build this clientele and serve this generation of athletes, it's a big deal. So we're going to be able to do a lot of that here and train them how to lift. And then there's more that comes on the back end of that. Yeah,
and I think especially for the teams that don't have the resources that a lot of other teams do, like this is going to be the perfect space for them to do the things that they're wanting to do, but just don't know how or don't know where to go, and they don't have it at their school or their club or whatever. And also, like, I know usually weightlifting things you're stacked onto another team. So like your time's out, you got to go. And so like you don't have maybe the space to do those things that we're telling them to do after or before.
Or you've got 40 kids in there and 3 teachers, 3 coaches.
Yes, so this is like the perfect opportunity, and I'm not going to hold your hand. That's one thing I don't do to anyone is hold their hand. So if you have the capacity and the want to come in here and learn how to lift and learn how to do it properly and how to recover your body better before it even happens, that's what this is for.
And then there's a lot of things as we start to niche down into specific skills. we've already got programs ready to lay out. We've invested into an app. A lot of you guys, I think we've leaked that a little bit, but we have a meeting here shortly actually to finalize the app, which is super cool that we're going to be able to log them into and give each athlete their specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to be able to get down into the skills aspect of it of, we've heard she wants to increase her vertical with volleyball players, soccer goalies, basketball players, even wide receivers, so many different skill sets there that want to increase their vertical or the agility side or 40 times or, they want to put mass on or they want to trim down or they're changing positions. And like, there's a lot of different dynamics where now we can put on sessions either specifically individually, but now we can also do sessions where we do, okay, over these 3 months, those of you who are looking to increase vertical, boom. And we can do that stuff here. We can take a group of clientele and do it here, do it right. That way they can take it wherever they want to go. Go to Club Fitness, but you're going to know how to do it right. Go to Hustle and Heart, but you're going to know how to do it right. And they're going to have us in there helping them with that too. Go to P3, go to school. A lot of these schools have great gyms now for high school gyms.
I know, it's wild.
We were in a little tin box. And so it was, but now they've got access to a lot of great equipment and you don't have to run around and use it all. That's why the equipment that we're going to be getting is going to be super cool because we can control what exactly they're doing, but we can niche down into the skills after that too, based on the evaluation. Because here's the deal. If you want to niche down in a skill, that's great, but we need to make sure, you want to run agilities and side to side stuff and where there's a lot of hip vulnerability, a lot of knee, ACL as you cut and do things like that. What's the foundation look like? What's the data show? Do we have to do anything first before it's like, okay, let's load you into that 60-day vertical session or that vertical challenge or whatever we end up calling it? Well, there's some foundational work chances are that we say it all the time. If we see what we think we're going to see, let's do this first. We're not talking it's going to take a year to get to it. We can move pretty quickly. What's the foundation like?
Yeah, and I think the other part of the app that's going to be really cool is it's not just about the physical. There is 3 pillars for a reason.
Yep.
And on the mental side, there is going to be like habit coaching and like things that you want to put into your routine that it's going to make you. It's going to tell you that you haven't done it. Yeah. And then also on the emotion, like there's going to be so many, I don't want to leak it all. There's going to be so many other things, and there's going to be nutrition coaching that you're really going to head up. And we get asked all the time about nutrition, but it's just going to make it so much simpler to have like a portal that all of the pillars are going to fall under, and it's going to be at your fingertips.
And a lot of these injuries too that we speak of right now, we've already, we've talked about the hips and then, shoulders and ankles. Obviously, yes, probably the top 3 overall anyway, outside of your mechanical low back pain. It's like, yeah, we're good with that too. That's easy. But if you're having these consistencies either on your team or you're seeing more of that, there could also be that metabolic component we've been talking about. But even just on the nutritional side, I try not to use diet, but even depending on what they're eating, is there anything missing in the micros, macros, electros that they are not getting or deficient in that feeds and fuels properly the soft tissue and cartilage and ligaments and tendons, higher inflammatory things? Like, okay, are they all consistent? A lot of times it's kind of like the myth buster is it's like a lot of times, most often, things like even high blood pressure, not genetic. It's not.
No.
It's you live in the same environment, eating the same things, doing the same things, or not doing the things that earn you that trophy. But a lot of these groups and teams, it's like, okay, they go here. Where do they go between games and during a tournament? They all go to this restaurant.
Yeah.
What do they get? They get their chicken nuggets and they get their burgers and they get their fries. And, everybody digests those things differently. And so that could also be a conversation. Are you high inflammatory? What does that look like? How does that affect your body? And what increases a lot of that in people's bodies? There's some consistencies, but some more than others. How much water are you intaking? I made a post. Like there's, the gallon water a day. Not a bad idea. But is there a point in time where you're diluting the body and then you're getting rid of a lot of the electrolytes because the body's just over diluted?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, are we getting enough electrolytes in and minerals and certain things, the magnesiums, chromiums? There's so many other things outside of just, let's drink Gatorade. No, we got to switch that conversation. Pre-game, post-game, middle of the week, before a lift, after a lift, what kind of lift? Are you an aerobic athlete? Are you anaerobic athlete? There's so much to take into account when it comes to injuries, depending on how you're fueling your body, not just how you're training as well. So there's a lattice of this that we're hearing more of, which is we're just going to keep talking about it more. But we do have opportunities now, especially with the app and some of the good conversations and relationships we've had, to be able to do this more remote too. So, if you're down in Florida, if you're in Nevada, if you're, we can have a conversation and really go through that and be able to help from afar.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is there doesn't have to be anything wrong with you to come in and get an evaluation or get structural films. Like, there is not...
How's it go? Okay.
There doesn't have to be anything wrong with your spine for you to get adjusted. Yeah. It's a lifestyle. We've said that so many times, but it truly is. You don't have to, your smoke alarm, you don't wait until the smoke alarm goes off to then get yourself checked out. You get your smoke alarm checked every year.
My soapbox is rubbing off on you.
It is. But it's true. I think we have a lot of athletes who come to us and they're already hurt and they're already having pain. And yes, we help them and we will continue to do that. But it would just be so much easier on them as athletes and families and parents to come before that. Yeah. Because then you're not searching for somewhere to go whenever you do get hurt. You know right where to go, which is what is turning into this place that we're building here, which is so cool too.
One of the things that my parents were really good at, my mom was on the crunchy side. That's probably where I kind of get my lifestyle choices from. But here's one thing. I'm going to get a little bold here, and I'm going to get a little not aggressive.
You bold? What?
I try to have a big heart. So see my heart through this. There's my disclaimer. See my heart through this because I do care, and I'm not here to out anybody or say anybody's doing anything wrong. But here is what I'm sick of hearing, and I get it. I get the stereotype. I've said it before. I'm not sitting here trying to preach chiropractic and the adjustment's the only thing. It is key. It is something you do not want to miss. But here's what I want people to know is I'm sick of hearing parents say that, maybe are a little skeptical. I understand that you're skeptical, but listen to this statement. Well, they hurt a little bit. Guy or girl, doesn't matter. He or she hurts a little bit, but they're athletes. That's what happens, and that's a part of it. And, they don't complain about it too much. Yeah, I know they're sore that, after a hard weekend of ball and whatever, and they've had a few injuries here and there, but it goes away, and then I don't hear about it, and then it comes back. So it just kind of fluctuates because they're athletes. Listen to what you're saying. What if your bank account fluctuated like that, and you missed your mortgage, and then it's like, oh, we were able to make it this month. Right. And then we missed 2 months, and it's like, oh, but then the third month we came back. It's like, but we're talking about a person here, and I'm not trying to tell people how to parent, but just listen, because we'd all do anything for our kids or our future kids. So for those of you that maybe don't have kids or you student athletes, it's like, pay attention to what it is that you're wanting that maybe you're not getting. Learn how to have that conversation with a parent, with a coach, and look for those things that you want to either learn more about or desire currently. But even as a parent, it's like, listen to that, because pain is common but not normal. Okay, there's a difference in that. These injuries are more common than ever, but not normal. Yeah. How many people have these injuries that maybe could have been prevented? And hindsight's always 20/20. Just because we do what we do doesn't mean we're going to eliminate injuries. So don't hear what we're not saying.
I wish.
But how do you prevent your car from running out of gas? Do you wait till it runs out of gas to then fill it up? This is off the top.
No, I won't.
No, you look at the gauge and it's like, well, there's something, I might want to fill this up before the fault happens. So let's just take care of them better. And I get the stereotype. I get not everybody knows who to trust. That's exactly why we're doing these things. So if you are, we've got people listening in Canada now. Like if you're out of the country, I don't care. Hopefully we can ask us questions and take it out on us. Let us be the punching bags, because we truly, truly want to help. And this is an ever-growing space that the resources are starting to try to keep up, but there's still so many gaps where just ask the questions. Maybe we're not the right fit for you, but just know that we're willing to be the punching bag, ask the questions, or have the good conversations, or, be regretful towards us. And I wish I'd have done this sooner, but I do want to do something now with them or with myself. Cool. That's what we're here to do. But don't just assume like, it's just a part of it. It's like, because then if catastrophe does strike, heaven forbid you see something that you wish you would have known sooner, because we've also had parents beat themselves up like, holy cow, I had no clue. Yeah. Or they said they didn't have scoliosis, which matters in dynamics and biomechanics, everything from dance to freaking croquet. Like the structure matters, that the agility that comes with that, the flexibility, the inflammatory part of it just biomechanically. There's so much that there has been parents that are like, man, where was this before? And so we just want to be on the front end of that.
Yeah, and staying on the bold topic, I'm sick and tired of hearing that athletes just have a high pain threshold and that's why they can just push through things. There is no such thing as anyone having a higher pain threshold than someone else.
Yeah.
What that's doing to them on the inside, the mentality that they have every single day, waking up with pain and pushing through pain for competitions because they feel like they're going to let someone down, has to stop.
Yeah.
It's a
Good on you, but has to stop.
It's a toxic culture that has really just been part of sports for so long. I mean, I'm victim to it too. I always push through everything, and obviously in the dance world, and that's just what everyone says. But I'm just sick and tired of hearing it because they're waking up every single day in pain. They're dancing through pain, and that's not something that they love to do. They love to dance. They don't love to be in pain every time they do something.
Right. And there's a difference in that with talking about exactly what you were saying is like, good on you, push through. You had a job. Well, they still need to be
Like, congratulations.
Totally.
Do you want a cookie? Like,
yeah. And they yes, they can do that. And to some level they should do that. But here's where the fault is if they're continuing to say something and looking for help and asking for help. Is there something I can do? Can I go here? I know my friends are going to this place, or some of them, whether locally, they're coming here. Like, maybe they have answers.
Yeah.
If they're asking for answers and looking for something to do, don't always take it, oh, well, of course you want to go there because your friends go there, or of course you want to go do that and eat there and order this. It's like, maybe sometimes step back a little bit and realize, what have the conversations been like with your athlete, or even as an athlete, if you haven't said anything yet, but you're continuing to feel that way. And this is why I'm saying that, like, listen to the conversation, what they're asking for, if they are, because then they're going to start to lose trust. Like you were saying, that the toxic environment with that is they're always going to trust their parents for the most part, 99% of the time.
Yeah.
But what they're not going to trust is, it's like, well, or they're going to just lose faith in, well, I've asked before, so I'm just not going to get it. So then I'm just not going to say anything.
Right.
That's dangerous. And these kids, there is life after sport. They're still developing. There's so much that we can be on the front end of. But also, too, we're teaching them how to take care of themselves better now.
Yeah.
Because if we wait till the wound is there, that we have no other choice. If you don't make time for it now, you're going to have to make time for it later.
Yeah.
And that could be more costly, take more time. It could end a career and be far more expensive. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that, either as an athlete, you sit us out, it will tank us.
Yeah.
On the mental side, we love coaching on that and how can you stay involved. I did that on the Cracking Backs podcast I was on, and we talk about it a lot. How do you stay involved with an unfortunate injury? But also, too, it's like, it'll tank us not only in that aspect, but in, okay, well, I'm just done. I don't have anybody to trust. I'm just going to stop saying about it. And if it happens, it happens.
Right. Yeah. And I think something else that's really cool about what we're building here is, we're open 4 days a week right now. And we have athletes who are in here 4 days a week just to hang out, just to be in the Normatec boots, sauna, cryo, maybe like hang out for a little bit and watch March Madness.
Hit the Blaze Pod action.
Yeah, and it's make Erin some content.
Yeah.
But it really is not just a healthcare facility. And I think that's so important to know that.
How many athletes have come in here on different teams that are like striking up conversations?
Yeah.
Dancers talking to soccer players and other soccer players from different teams interacting with each other, and club teams that are interacting. It's like, that's the whole other underlying mission that we can talk about later. Is it's like, competition is great between the lines. That's awesome. Get after it. Elbow check. Pull hair, get it, compete your ass off. However, at the end of the day, it's like, you don't know who you're playing and where that person might end up and go and be able to help you. But there's a lot of cool freaking people in the world, and these kids need to know how to collaborate and build these relationships, because they're all freaking great in their own right, and they're a hell of a lot more fun together than they are creating enemies apart.
Yeah, it's just so fun. Right now with everything being open, it just creates such a good environment that the athletes just come sit by my desk and they're like just chatting it up.
Respect the rivalry, but value the relationships.
Yeah. The shirt.
Sorry, I just totally cut you off. I
I
had to get
don't
that
care.
out before I spit it out.
No, that was a good shirt though. Write it down.
Respect the rivalry, but build and value the relationships. And it's a magnet effect too. It's a concentration in like refers like, and you get a lot of great athletes in the room that want to take care of themselves. One, they're going to pass that down to their next generation, and they're going to know what that looks like. But they're also going to build long-lasting relationships and build more resources around them and more trust around their community and their circle, my oval, as I like to call it. It's a pretty cool thing, and the sooner we can do that, heaven forbid we teach them how to be healthier, how to take care of themselves properly, introduce them to more people and how to shake hands and how to be around different personalities, how to compete, how to respect the rivalry, show loyalty to your team, but also to the fact that off the field, like, these people are pretty freaking cool. Heaven forbid we make the world a better place inside this 3,000 square feet and beyond outside these four doors along those lines.
Yeah, and I think why I also brought that up is athletes need more safe spaces. They have their school, they have their team, they have their home, and some people don't. And we're just creating another safe space for them to be at and to hang out at that isn't, the bad places that you can end up in. And it's just so cool. And we're like going to their games on weekends and like they're inviting us to things. And like you become a part of the Pure Athlete family whenever you become a client here. It's not just like oh, hi, bye. Like, we know what's going on in all of their personal lives and like help them through it. And they do become our friends.
Yeah, they do. And, there's boundaries that are there. However, there are some people that we can think of right off the top where we do have the ultimate trust, not only from the athlete, but from their parents. And we're very blessed as a part of that. So here's what I would say and encourage some of you do is if you have questions, I don't care. And here's the other thing. Let me just blow this out too. There's a separation in the healthcare fields. I don't know how bold I want to get with this yet.
Let's frickin' go.
You're not a real doctor. Well, to hell with that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get over that. I take more hours than MD in a lot of other areas, and I'm not here to combat because we work well with MDs. We collaborate with them. We have people under care who are nurse practitioners and physician's assistants and orthos and optometrists. Like, we have those people under care. If you're going to create the barrier with that, now is the time to just blind it off. Have a cocktail, think it over, and open your mind a little bit and just be like, okay, let me just see what this guy's actually saying. Have a call with us. Ask the questions. Here's what I've heard. Here's what I do. If it's a barrier from one side of healthcare to the other, don't let it be. These are people's lives at stake, and there's not this many testimonials. There's not this much data. There's not this. We're not a certain style of chiropractic that. We're just not. We value the person in front of us. That's why we use technology. That's why we take films. That's why we have neurological tech. That's why we do a dynamic evaluation. That's why we video it. That's why we speak on it all the time. That's why we do more education. Have the conversation with us. If there is a barrier in your mind as an athlete or as a parent or as a coach or as a strength trainer, we are on your side. 100%. We can figure out the differences. We want to hear it because there's two things. One, yes, we want to take care of you, your athlete, or wherever you might be, but we also want to change the stereotype of all of that as well and start to work together because it's bullshit and it needs to stop because this, like I said, is an ever-growing population. We should look up the stat and see, okay, how many athletes, let's say, like how much of the world's population right now, from professional athletes through student athletes, say, who go from 6 to 36. How many of them are athletes? I bet it's an astounding number.
100%.
I'm not saying professionals. I'm saying student athletes up through professional athletes are consistent athletes. I bet the percentage, while it might seem low, it's like if it's 33%, what's 33% of how many billion people are in the world now? What is it? I don't even know. Or there's 300, 400 million in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. 15% is a big deal. And it's like, we've got to change. This could be the ripple that changes a lot, but don't be jaded. Don't be egotistical. Because again, we are here to help and work and stand aside strength trainers and physical trainers and athletic trainers and MDs, the concussion MD we work with, the orthos, we're here to stand in that together. Let's all play ball together. We refer out when there's injuries. We call for MRIs. We're not saying we fix it all. There are some out there, every profession does a disservice to themselves depending on how certain people practice. That's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you right now, Let us be a resource. I don't care where you are. And if you have hard questions, if you have a hard heart in some areas, ask the questions and let us vet that for these kids and for what we're all trying to provide.
Period. That was good.
Well, and it's so true because honestly, I will say the biggest thing that I would love to overcome is the separation in healthcare that who knows even divided it and why it's even there. People can speculate, oh, well, a cured patient doesn't pay. They just want to put them on medicine. Or, oh, they're quacks. They don't take any schooling. Well, we can defunct that right off the bat. Just because people have different perspectives doesn't mean you can't get a great result. But there's a lot of unnecessary shit happening on each side of the ball, but all you want to look at is the bad thing. It's almost like, it's like, we see a lot of pregnant women on the family practice side, and then, become pregnant. It's like, oh my gosh, you hear everybody's horror story. And that's the only thing you attach on to because your brain wants you to be comfortable. You want to avoid conflict. You don't want to deal with that. And the people who are speaking into your life, you probably have more trust with. But it's like the new mom story. And they tell you the horror story. It's like, oh, it's so painful. You might as well just schedule the C-section. That's not right. You might as well just do this. Eat what you want. Or the cravings are terrible. Or this. It's like, that's not right. Why let somebody else write a chapter in your book? But everybody wants to tell the horror stories. And they never want to look at the good. The only time they want to look at the good is how many reviews do they have and what's their star rating.
Right.
Well, we're blessed to have almost a 5-star review. Like you have those people that are haters going to hate. Those are also going to push the people away that are just like them. That's fine. But when it comes to healthcare, it's like, it's got to stop because there's so much value on both sides. Critical healthcare in this world is number one. Like, I love our critical healthcare system. I think we all can agree that it needs to be a last resort, not a first option. So where's the first option?
Right.
It's exactly what a lot of people want to downplay, but at the end of the day, we are here to stand aside in all of that, and people who want to play nice, we love that.
Yeah.
And we are willing to do that, and that's what we're coming for. So just know when we talk about these things and what the Pure Athlete's providing on the mental, physical, and relational side, and the professionals we have in our corner, as we're talking more with Dr. Larkin, we just sent him a concussion. That was something we got wind of. They were asking questions about us, and we're like, look, we could bring you in and do all these things. However, the end result is still going to be you're going to him.
Yeah.
So we just sent right away, boom, gone. Like, we know our lane, our athlete urgent care side. We can take the films. Who wants to go to urgent care anymore? Everybody dreads that. I don't care if it's for strep or broken ankle or rolled ankle, jammed thumb. Nobody really wants to go there. Okay, well, we can do that here. Is it something we can manage and take care of? Great. If not, boom, here's what it is. Direct access, boom, here's where you go. Agility ortho, you go over, here's the doctors we have.
Yeah.
And I think if more people realize that, and it's not just an us thing. I'm trying to get this to go across all of healthcare, other chiropractic offices, other PTs, other MDs. If we can get that to go all across healthcare, and even as a specialty of student athletes and their parents trying to keep up, world becomes a better place.
Yeah, I think moral of the story is just athletes deserve better, and that's what we're doing. It's what we're creating. It's what everyone should move towards, and doesn't matter if you're chiropractic, athletic trainer, PT, like strength conditioning coach, anything. Like, there's a reason why there's not just one job for all of those things.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's specialties for different things, and there's a reason why whenever a team hires people, they're not just hiring one of them. And so you have to break down that barrier and get over your ego a little bit. Of they're supposed to be a care team for yourself, for your family, for your athlete, and it's okay to have more than one.
Absolutely. Whew, that was good.
Woo!
I hope you guys can see our heart through that and kind of can attach to that mission, because we've always said, and as it's continuing to grow, if people really understood the mission of what we're building here, they would attach to it. And we're starting to see that more, which is cool. So hopefully that gives a little insight. And we're just going to continue to climb and grow on this healthcare side of things, and be able to give more access and open our Rolodex. And a lot of you are going to help us continue to have this evolve. So ask the questions, have the conversations, book a call with one of us. We're not going to charge you for that. If you have questions or want to see if you're a good fit, or if your student athlete's a good fit, just start to ask better questions, get better answers. But let's take the lenses off. A mentor of mine talked about lenses. He always gives us talks. He's got these big, huge lenses on, and it's like everybody's got a pair. And they don't always fit the outfit you're wearing. it's okay to change them, and it's okay to buy a new brand, and it's okay to look through them. It's okay to tint them differently. But at the same time too, sometimes the tint's a little too dark. Take them off, you grab somebody else's glasses and put them on. And if you don't understand what you're looking at, that's a perfect opportunity to ask questions. So, just very excited and very passionate, obviously. I love where this is going. I love how our space is going. I love the other docs that are reaching out. So thank you for that. This is why we're here. We talked about this a lot, where it's kind of like you look up and it's like, you got a great sense of humor, bro. Like, what the hell am I here to do?
Yep.
And finally just sitting in this and seeing this evolve, it's like, now I know why I'm here. And now I know why I'm here. And we're here for you. So that's what I got.
Yeah. Good episode.
Great couple. We've got more guest booking and rolling out.
About to have some packed Fridays for you guys.
I know, yeah. So our special episodes will drop. We might drop a random Wednesday in there too, as we have some of our spring breaks and family times and things like that. So we'll either pre-record or we'll drop a guest episode in on that, or maybe a recent episode from another podcast that we have done. So super exciting for that. Yeah. Spring's approaching. Where are we at? End of March, Easter week.
Crazy.
Headed to Good Friday. Hope everybody's having a great lead into Easter. And spring sports are very much in session, which is super fun. So hope you guys are enjoying that as the weather begins to change all over. Anything else?
No.
All right. Let's go racing. See ya.